The term highly sensitive person, HSP, or highly sensitive child, HSC, was coined by psychologist and researcher Dr. Elaine Aron, who has been researching high sensitivity since 1991. It's a kind of cluster of traits that is found in 15 to 20% of the population, far too many to be some kind of disorder, but still a minority. So it's normal to be highly sensitive, but if you fall into this category, it's not surprising that the people around you do not understand you, because sensitivity is still not the majority. You're born with this trait, which means that your brain is wired a little bit differently to everyone else's. Specifically, your brain is wired with a very certain type of survival strategy, which is observe carefully before taking any kind of action. This tendency to observe before acting makes you more aware of subtleties, so you notice every little detail. You are highly aware of nuances, and your brain processes information more deeply, and you tend to reflect more deeply on things that happen. This is actually an evolutionary advantage, but the dark side of the trait is that your brain, noticing everything, easily gets overstimulated and overwhelmed, especially when a situation is chaotic in some way or is very complex, or when something is new to you. Sensitivity is valued differently in different cultures. Western culture tends to undervalue sensitivity, and sensitive children are often labeled as oversensitive. They may even be mocked for their sensitivity, and this can cause them to develop low self-esteem and all kinds of other problems. I'm Karen. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I want to share with you a story about my experience of being highly sensitive. I'm about 17 years old, and as is so often the case, I'm fleeing the school immediately after morning assembly, where all South African children must gather at least a few times a week to sing the school song, say the Lord's Prayer, and listen to the principal's address for the day. I sneak around the side of the school to where the bicycles and the motorcycles are parked. I jump onto my 50cc motorcycle, it's a Yamaha jog, and I hightail it out of there. I get home, close my curtains, and rip off my school uniform with the greatest of relief. I climb into bed, and it is like a soft, peaceful, dim cave. It is a haven of peace and tranquility. I am convinced that there is something deeply, deeply wrong with me. I can smell people's feet, armpits, and bad breath from across the room, even though they're wearing shoes, and the smell makes me want to gag. Sometimes I do gag. I cannot take the feel of my school uniform, especially those long knee-length plasticky synthetic socks, which make my legs and feet feel like they're trapped in some kind of prison. I hate most food, and I only eat what I make for myself, because there are very specific and very limited taste combinations that I like, but other people find what I eat very weird. I'm an extrovert, but people think I'm an introvert. They think I'm shy because I keep myself to myself. At break time, I find a quiet corner. I put my head on my school bag and I put my blazer over my face. It's because I can't handle too many people at once. Large groups of people make me extremely distressed, unless they're all very, very quiet. But believe me, in a school, that doesn't happen often. I hate noise, I hate bright lights, I hate busy environments with too much going on. School assemblies happen in my school on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and it is an assault on my senses. I can't cope with it, which is why after assembly I often hightail it home. This happens mostly on Mondays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays I often get through the day, and sometimes Fridays too, because I know it's the last day of the week. I am deeply empathic to the point that I literally cannot watch movies or most TV shows, because if there's any violence or if any of the characters gets hurt or an animal is in distress, I get too upset. I cannot deal with it. I don't know how to talk to anyone about how I feel and why I experience the world so differently, but I don't think that anyone would understand or care if I try. Over the next years, with the help of therapy, I learned how to be more comfortable with my quirks, and I learned how to accept myself. But it is not until I read a book called The Highly Sensitive Person that everything finally clicks into place. And I realized that yes, I am different, but I am not alone. There are a lot of other people just like me. If you think that you might be highly sensitive, or if you think your child might be highly sensitive, then please do Dr. Elaine Aron's quiz, which I will link to in the description below. It's an easy self-test, it doesn't take long, and it will give you a good indication of whether you might fit into this category or not. In my next video, I'm going to talk about 9 oddly specific signs that you might have a highly sensitive baby.